It may have only just turned December, but the Royals delivered an early Christmas present by beating Blackpool for the first time in 24 years on their own turf. Joining myself and Ross on episode 442 of the Tilehurst End podcast is our own special present, editor-in-chief, all-round average egg, Sim.
Evening, thanks for having me on. And you've already made an error, Ben. You just said first time we've beaten Blackpool on their place since 2001. First time in the league. We did it in the Cup a couple of years ago. Already an error. Matter of seconds into the podcast. Unprofessional joke, as always.
This is what you expect. This is what you leave us to do. So, if there are going to be mistakes, and we've invited you on again to just make sure that that's taken care of. So glad to see that point out. Ben, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, he spoilt it because that was the next part. I was gonna say that in the recap.
Right.
And
Okay.
he's just ruined it.
I've been here seconds and it's already a shambles. You shouldn't have me on. I just make everything chaotic.
Well,
That's true.
I mean, two of us knew that it kicked off at 12:30. So
look, all right. Thanks to last week's guest, I have seen the game. Okay, and I got to see it very quickly, which was good. But yes, I did. For those who don't know, I do the ratings oftentimes for the Tilehurst website.
Well, that's a loose term for it. But yeah.
Well, all right. Opinions, the elongated opinions. And normally Sim can rely on me, listeners, for that. But I did wake up about 65 minutes into the game this weekend and go, oh no, today was an early one, wasn't it? So I missed that. Thank you to Club Media Man Ryan for getting the game up on Royals TV already, or up by Saturday evening as well, I will say. So very good stuff.
And thank you also to the person who had to suddenly do the player ratings at very late.
Well, it's good to throw you a curveball every now and again, just to.
There's me getting suddenly panicked in the away end at about 65 minutes when I look down at my WhatsApp and see, oh no, I've just realised it's snowing today. But
yeah, why is everybody talking about the game already?
I'd love to tell you it won't happen again, but it absolutely will. So, oh well.
Well, look, we are going to talk about a game that we've all seen.
Yeah.
In different media forms, actually.
At different times of the day.
Yeah, one of us watched it live at home, and the other one eventually watched it at whatever time, UK time it was. So we're going to talk about the game. Massive result, absolutely huge result on episode 442, which is what we're all craving, really, I think.
Hell yeah.
For a potential formation switch. Huge thanks to ZCZ Films, who are our main sponsors, of course. And to the Amazons for their lending of My Blood. Massive record. Absolutely, honestly, if our price still existed, or Woolworths, it'd be a huge cassette.
What was the first one you mentioned?
Our price.
Our price. Okay, so listeners, I'm just going to note but not comment on the fact that he said our price and cassette in that sentence. I'm just going to note
MVC was a good one.
HMV I recognize. That's
HMV still going.
Yeah, that's the earliest for me.
It's been up and down.
Yeah.
Up and down, but,
it's
still going. Anyway, thanks to those two parties. We're here as a three. I was going to say something else then. Just three people. We'll just leave it at that. On this episode of your hopefully favourite Reading FC related fan podcast. We've had some guests on recently, haven't we? We went on a good run with just me and you, Ross, and then it's just exploded. All these people begging to come on.
Constant noise in our ears, like, can we come on and replace you? So, they're definitely guests. That's how we've interpreted it.
Guests, not people vying for our job anyway.
Right.
Listen, we're going to get into it. Big result for Limo's men. 3-0 away to Blackpool for the first time in 24 years at their place in the league. In the recap coming right up. Right. Bloody good game, actually. Bloody good win. Where should we start? Let's talk about Dan Kay, because he was the star man. I think we can all agree on that. Sim, you
Can we
gave him
put
an
that
8.
back around on you then, actually, just to immediately seize the hosting duties away from you? Because I'm not going to let you get away with this. You have said in recent weeks, I'm not sure what Daniel K brings to the team. I'm not really sure, if he's shown anything yet. And then you got very upset on Saturday night when we were very, very happy about Daniel K and his
No,
bringing of something to the team. So why don't you explain what it is that Daniel K did in this game that made him so exciting?
I've always said that I think our rating system at TTE needs a massive overhaul, a
Right.
huge overhaul.
Okay.
And the mere suggestion that he was going to get a 9,
Yeah.
honestly, I nearly fell off something high, because to get a 9 is like, that's quite, that's
Yeah.
big, right? So what I got miffed at was the suggestion that he would get a 9. Now I think Sim settled on an 8. What do I mean, it was his breakout game for me, and what we need to see now is consistency from him,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Up until this point, I didn't really see what he brought, But I go back to that Port Vale game at the back end of the summer when Charlie Savage was telling him what to do every single minute of the game, and it was just awkward. It was just really, really awkward. So now I think we've got a player on our hands. Sim, you were there live. What do you want to start? Do you want to start with Dan Kay, or do you want to take us in a different direction?
I think Dan Kay was actually just a really good encapsulation of the whole afternoon. I'm gonna tie it
What
together.
did you say? What word are you bringing to the
It
table
was
now?
Encapsulation.
encapsulation of the entire afternoon, because the one word that I would use to describe the entire afternoon, whether it's Dan Kay, whether it's the whole kind of performance, whatever, it was fun. It was actually enjoyable. It was a rare occasion when I went to a game. I enjoyed what I watched. I enjoyed the feeling that I came away from the game with. I enjoyed the journey home, even though it was rubbish in some regards. I enjoyed the feeling the day after. I actually just had fun with a Reading game for the first time in ages, because so much of this season has just been kind of flat. It's been meh. It's not been entertaining. It's not actually kind of got you inspired for the rest of the week. But this was a performance when the players actually had fun. They enjoyed themselves. It actually looked like they knew what they were doing and they knew what they were wanting to do. And Dan Kay's positivity, trying things, just running at his defender a lot. And he didn't get everything right. He didn't kind of have a perfect performance by any means, but you could tell that he was trying things, and you can tell that he knew what he wanted to do. And it was a very clear, kind of simple instruction of have a go at your fullback, keep on getting at him, keep on trying to make things happen. And as a result, he was involved in all the goals. Not exactly the same kind of way of creating all those goals each time. Like he went down for a penalty for one of them. It was a pass for another one. It was a shot from distance from the other. But that is the performance of somebody who is trying things. And he's not going to have a game that good every single week. There are going to be other games when he tries 10 different things and none of them come off and we think, oh, he's rubbish, and we'll give him 4 out of 10 in the ratings that Ben loves so much. But look, if you have players like that who have that desire to try and do something positive, to try and create something rather than playing everything safe, hopefully we'll get it out of Paddy Lane when he comes back, Kamaru Doyle. And if that's the thing that Liam Richardson is developing in this team, then long may it continue. Fun.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the big changes from last time out versus Rotherham, is that the wingers were actually appropriate to take on their fullbacks, and they were actually going for it. And I thought we missed. I said last week on the pod, I thought we missed Kyerewaa quite a bit against Rotherham. He would have been that last little thing just to unpick maybe, but yeah, I thought he was really good in this game. He's such an athlete. I mean, the guy can really move. He looks like like in Scooby Doo when they're running away from the monsters and their feet start going too fast when it looks like that when he starts going. He was really, really good in this game. And for me, this was the first flash of Femi Aziz that we've seen since he left the club. I don't think that Chem Campbell ever really had a consistent enough period in the team, or I don't think his upside was ever shown to be super, super high. Like I think where he's ended up, Chem Campbell, and I may be wrong in the future, but I think that's about how good Chem Campbell is, a mid to lower, League One player. But this was sort of like some flashes of something really exciting from Kyerewaa. Hopefully it continues. One fun fact about him, though, of all of the players who played 90 minutes, Kyerewaa touched the ball the least of any of those players. So impact when it came to him, holding that wide position, holding that position that allowed him to, attack the fullback when he's going into the box, and he gave a Hickway an awful afternoon. But actually not having that many opportunities on the ball, just really being dangerous, when it came to him. So yeah, really exciting to see from Kyerewaa.
I think the interesting thing, just as you mentioned, his touches. I'm gonna jump in and get rid of you for a minute, Ben. When you look at his touch map, like almost all of his touches are in the opposition's half. He's not kind of coming too deep. He's not kind of coming too centrally. I'm looking at it now, just on the map. It's a very kind of clear trend of he is getting to the opposition's half. He's getting onto the left side, and he's not kind of drifting around too much or trying to overcomplicate things. It's very much that is what he wants to do, and it's, you don't want to do kind of too much complicated instructions with somebody when you can just say, get at your man.
Big game for a lot of players. Obviously, Dan came back in for the suspended Matt Ritchie. Massive improvement, I have to say. I was quite critical of Ritchie against Rotherham the previous week, discipline-wise anyway. Obviously, Dan offered an awful lot to the team on Saturday, and it was a big game for a lot of individuals. Doyle scored, which will do his confidence the world of good. Obviously, Monsters Inc. got on the score sheet as well, which can best be described as a comedy of errors in terms of the actual goal. They did their best not to score, but managed to tuck it away, really. And you can argue and say that Blackpool weren't very good, but we have this habit, as you said, Sim, of making things very difficult for ourselves and not maybe applying ourselves in the best way. But Saturday was a perfect example of what can only be described as a perfect win, really. I want to just go back to Dan Kay a little bit, because in the post-match interview, he talked about being directed to run at his fullback, and we had a kind of a debate, or rather me just ranting into the abyss about me saying that's what old school wingers did, growing up in the 90s watching the Premier League, and Michael Gilks and all those players for us that we had. It was refreshing to see our wingers get after our fullbacks. What else have we got to come potentially from Liam's coaching? Because it's quite clear that he's made a massive difference on that one player already. Are there any other players that we'd be looking at and saying, what else can he do from a coaching point of view to improve them? Who wants to take that one?
I think you can see personally, and I know obviously, like in the build up for Randall Williams' goal, he was one of the ones that missed, or sort of shot save. But I think Kelvin Ehibhatiomhan has gotten quite a lot better since Limo came in. I think that his sense of positioning for the second ball has been a lot better, and I think that Liam's noticed that he's just not going to win a first ball. There's no point. So now positioning him better for the second ball. I just feel like he's getting on a few more drop downs, even though I didn't think that this game was great from him.
So Pereira, Braithwaite, Connor Williams, Dorset, Wing, Savage, Randall, Doyle, Dan Kay, and Kelvin. Is that, with the exception of Jack Marriott, the strongest team that we've got at the club at the moment?
No, because
who would you add in there then?
I would definitely be taking Randall Williams out, and I don't want to kind of beat up on somebody too much. He's only just come to the club and he's had 2 starts and a substitute appearance, so it's still very early days. But with the exception of the goal that he scored, he didn't really do that much.
Yeah, he's got an engine, but that's about it.
How many passes did he make, guys?
Not 9. I rechecked it. Yeah. I told Ross a day or two ago that it was 8. It's actually 9. And look, when you're any outfield player, that's not very much, but particularly when you're a winger who's been tasked with coming quite centrally when Reading are in possession in this kind of 3-2-4-1 that we have, he's kind of more of a 10 than an out-and-out winger. So he is coming centrally and trying to get more involved. But if he's not making many passes and he's not getting very involved, then he's not having as big an impact as you need him to have. I know Paddy Lane has kind of not really got going yet, and he's been injured, but I just think his ceiling is a lot higher than Randall Williams is at this moment in time. And then obviously Marriott coming back in as well, and potentially Renomota coming in, maybe in place of Savage. I don't want to kind of be too harsh on Savage. He's done well recently, but when you've got somebody as good as Renomota, I know Ben is going absolutely mad in his mind.
Here is exciting.
My point is, when you've got somebody as good as Renomota, who's a good ball carrier and a good ball winner, you can't rule out him coming into the team and improving that midfield.
I think we mentioned as well that without Mbenge in the team, Reading are kind of missing a ball carrier in the build up and middle phase right now. I will say I think Randall Williams's positioning and the number of touches that he got in this game was affected by Liam kind of tweaking things and changing things around again. I thought I put this on Bluesky, but I thought that the press was a little bit different, especially in the first half, in that it was a bit more man to man up against the sort of like back three that Blackpool were using, and they had a number 6 who was listed as like part of the, I guess, the third line, like closer midfield line, closer to the forwards, but really they had this 6 was dropping very, very far back, still in between lines though. So Doyle, instead of going forward into this sort of 4-4-2 thing, was often hanging back on him and leaving a sort of like almost like the formation, the 4-2-3-1, just there on the field in whatever phase of play we were in. And I thought that it worked okay at times, but there were also some issues whereby if Blackpool could spring a ball carrier in behind either Williams or Kyerewaa, it would be very, very easy for them to then progress up the field about 40 yards, and it caused all kinds of weird little players getting moved out of position. So in the example that I put on Bluesky last night, a player gets onto the wrong side of Randall Williams, runs 30 yards up the field completely uncontested. A Brafer eventually has to step forward. And behind him, Porty O'Connor has stepped onto a midfielder. Wing has had to go and chase off after the guy who's gone behind a Brafer. So it quite quickly gets the press pulled all over the place. And that causes, issues. Luckily, in that particular moment, Blackpool got their timing wrong. They weren't able to take advantage of it. But I did think, just to caveat Randall Williams a bit, there were some changes going on with the press and with the way we played. Reading went long in this game. They went long with 25% of their passes, which is 10% above their usual this year. So they really were trying, just be a bit more direct with their setup and play in this one shape from front to back. They had 40% possession, but created a ton. So I think it's really good to see that they, under Liam, can now be flexible and do different things with the same players. I think that's kind of like the point I was making where I kind of went off the rails there. They've got this back four that's been pretty set in terms of the personnel for the last like 2 or 3 weeks now, but it's done different things in different games, which is kind of interesting to see. So yeah, a bit more flexibility in this one, and an issue kind of caused by it in one place. And I thought Randall Williams occasionally was able to make that work with his athleticism. He's got a real engine on him. So yeah, but definitely on the ball struggled, I think on Saturday.
Liam was obviously delighted with the result. He said after the game, Royals boss Liam Richmond's delighted with his side's work, having got a first away win of the league season under their belts. That's damning, isn't it? Back end of November, and we're only winning for the first time away from home. That's,
the last 2 years it was Exeter away in October, and then before that was it Wickham away in November as well.
Yeah.
So horrible afternoon when that to spend with Ben in South Buckinghamshire.
that was the away duck breaking though, right?
It was, yeah, great
over a year. Yeah,
great day that.
Yeah.
All the credit goes to players, said Richardson. They've been outstanding this week with the output in training. It's never easy. I hate that bit. It's never easy to travel to a place like this. Blackpool are dying, aren't they? Blackpool are absolutely appalling at the moment. He's being very generous there. But I thought we conducted ourselves very well. I thought we started relatively slowly, but then I thought we were very comfortable, both in possession and out of possession. Let's talk about this league really, because it's so tight, particularly in the top end of the table. We find ourselves 16th now on 22 points. For context, Bolton, who occupy the last playoff spot, 28 points. So the scope for moving up the league quickly is massive. We could find ourselves over the Christmas period sort of sniffing around the playoffs, and that would be quite a remarkable turnaround for a team that really has struggled this season and has been well under par. Very, very easy at this point to get carried away with the result, because 3-0 away from home, gives us a first, league win away from home this season.
First time we've scored 3 goals in the league this season as well.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Since last, I think Mansfield Sim said off air, since last April. No,
Sim,
this April.
Do you think there's more to come from this team, and are we only really kind of scratching the surface of what we're capable of at this stage?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this is the kind of team that's needed an injection of confidence from somewhere. It's been just kind of very much just kind of bumbling along and getting 1-1 draws and kind of not really being awful consistently, not being like really, really bad, but just making things too hard for itself and not really having that confidence. It's needed this kind of game, and hopefully this is the kind of match that really ignites our season. You go back to the Wycombe game, for example, as much as it was a really important away win, it was also that injection of confidence that we needed so desperately in that first season under Sellers. Similarly, winning Exeter, that Exeter game wasn't a particularly good performance all round, I thought, the away one last season, but it did give us that jolt of confidence. And yeah, if you can kind of really build on it and get that same kind of confidence going into other attacking players that we've had in Dan Kay on Saturday, that'd be fantastic. The problem is that we have at the minute, we don't have a lot of games, and we're having to keep on waiting constantly between games. It's 10 days until the next one, Peterborough at home. And it just kind of, it's not good for building momentum as you'd want to at this stage.
There are some very weird waits this year. It feels like the most, I felt like every other League One season, and maybe I'm just scarred, but I feel like I've been, working in inverted commas every 3 days. And now suddenly we've got 2 10-day breaks in the space of like a month. It's very, very odd. What's going on right now. I'm excited. I mean, I'm always overexcited, especially when my second place prediction is looking more likely suddenly.
Listen, it could happen. Let's not rule it out.
Well, second's not that far off, right? It's like 8 points off or something like that. And we are a different club in the last 3 games versus in the previous games this season and this calendar year. I'm being a little bit cheeky here, but I'm going to pull out some of my XG stuff because I know you love it. But I'm being very cheeky because this Blackpool game, Reading racked up a lot of XG, and there's 2 reasons for that. Well, there's 3 reasons for that. 1, they played quite well. 2, they had a penalty. Penalties are instantly worth 0.75 XG, I think it is. It's like 3/4 likely they go in. And then they also had a goal mouth scramble, which involved, I think 3 shots, 2 shots maybe right in the mouth of the goal from Kelvin and then from Williams who scored. So that will add quite a bit onto your XG. So I'm being a little bit cheeky. All of that said, in this very small sample size of league games from Liam Richardson, where before we were looking at something like a 1.15, 1.13 expected goals per 90 for Reading, so creating just about enough to deserve a goal in the game, it's at 1.8 over the first 3 games under Liam. So it's just a different team. It is... What is that? 150% of where we were at previously. So if we continue, obviously, like we're not going to get a penalty in every game. We're not going to have a goal mouth scramble in every game, although those are a little easier to generate artificially. I just think it's a good sign to see this team, which can produce higher XG because we've seen it under Sellers. I think it's good to see them do it again, and confidence, like you say, Sim, will come from that.
I think off the top of my head, and you'd have to do some research on this, but I think we had the best XG output over the weekend of all the leagues. I think with 3.39. Closest to that was Huddersfield off the top of my head, and that was 3.11. And then after that, again off the top of my head, Man City, 3.10. And then after that, I think it was Brentford, 3.06 just off the top of my head.
And we should just keep going now through the whole 92. And then after that, it was Leyton Orient.
I think it was Salford. I think they were 3.
Who did Roy of the Rovers play for? What's the Rovers team called?
Yeah, exactly. But this is all off the top of my head. I mean, you'd have to go and fact check it, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
It's 3.39 for Reading at the top, 3.11 for Huddersfield, 3.1 for Man City.
I was right. Okay, cool. That's good.
I just remember this completely off the top of my head, and I'm definitely not looking at this on another tab.
Couldn't remember it.
3.04 for Salford, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's good. As long as I was right, that's the main thing.
I do feel. Can I say one last thing about this game?
I think it was 1.98 for Oldham. I don't know. I'm just
pulling them out now.
Very possible.
One last thing on this game and personnel.
1.83 for Millwall. I think it was
straight through now. He keeps going. I'm a little bit. I'm not sad.
Like an episode of Numberwang. Do you remember from the Mitchell Webb show? And you're just yelling out. And it is a fun little fact, just to bring this all like full circle back to Blackpool. Outside Blackpool Tower, they have like a mural on the floor, which is like a collection of loads of quotes from old British comedy shows. And it's just random things from, I don't know, like Dad's Army, Hello, whatever. And it does say that's Numberwang on the floor in Blackpool, outside Blackpool Tower.
Excellent.
So it's a fun little fact to link it back to XG.
Very good. Very good. All right. So just last thing on personnel in this game. I'm feeling not sad for, because he's a professional footballer. But I feel a bit bad for Kelvin Ehibhatiomhan at the moment, because I think that when Marriott comes back, because of the start to the season that Marriott had, every Reading fan will probably rightly, unless Kelvin is scoring for fun at that point, be calling for Marriott to come back into the team. And Kelvin probably then gets shunted out to the left. But I would say he's probably losing time and a little bit of pace in that race right now to like Kyerewaa, maybe Lane, maybe some of the other players who may be more likely to get a wide start. So I just feel a little bit bad for Kelvin that he's kind of water carrying for Reading in the forward position and losing out on time to impress in his, I think, better wide position on the left. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think he's in between a rock and a hard place, to be honest with you. I think he certainly, Rotherham, the people around me, and it's wrong to say they're regulars because I didn't recognise them, but I don't know. But
you were there on the kids' day. The extras around you were like 8 years old.
No, but he was getting a bit of heat from the fans and all the people around me, and I think he's in danger of becoming a little bit of a scapegoat. Obviously all the stuff in the summer, and Noel Hunt probably didn't handle that the best in terms of of publicly declaring what he was doing and not doing with his contract. But I think there's been a lot of expectations as a result of him or someone drawing out that the length of time that it took him to sign the new contract. And he's not really delivered this season. And he's kind of a player that really has to have now, I think, a good season to get a few people back on side. I mean, look, we like him on this pod. I like him. I think there's bags of potential, but there's only so many, there's only so many seasons you can talk about potential before it's actually starting to realise. So he's not a striker for me. I possibly would play him on the left-hand side. But we don't have anyone else currently to play striker. There's no one else to do it. And he's kind of up there, almost put out to pasture. He's not been fantastic up front, I don't think. I don't know. What do you think, Sim?
I don't think he's too far away from things clicking for him, to be honest, because this was another game when he had a couple of chances and he was getting into good positions. There was that one in the first half when Dan Kay plays him in, and good finish and like a really good clearance basically off the line from the Blackpool player. And then he's really involved in the Randell Williams goal in the build-up to it. On another day, he gets 1 or 2 goals, and he's had other games like this. I think the Carlisle match as well went really close a couple of times, and he just needs that 1 goal to go in for him. And then the floodgate, I'm not saying the floodgates are definitely going to open, but that could be just the game changer that he needs to really kind of kick on. Just on a slightly similar note, I thought it was interesting that because we don't really get injury news at this point, we don't know if Marco Mani is injured or not, but he wasn't involved on Saturday. But it did mean Sean Patton getting involvement, his league debut, I think it was, came on very late. And it's not impossible that if Jack Marriott is out for a little while longer and Marco Mani's not involved, maybe gets sent back to his parent club Brighton in January, Sean Patton get a bit more game time and he could have a chance to impress. And it wouldn't be impossible for him to kind of come on, get a goal and look good and really kind of get into the team somehow.
Yeah.
I think one thing is clear is they've got to go out in January, and for me, strikers the number one priority position wise.
Well, a few weeks ago for me, it was like a player. I think I was basically saying, yeah, like a player like, Andy Rinamota. Cool. Done. It's like...
I don't see him being a starter in that team for a while yet. I think you got to look at how much football he hasn't played in recent times.
Who? Rhino?
Yeah.
We agree. We've talked about this. He started 50 championship games in the last 2 years.
But he's not played since then, though, has he?
Well, no, that's true. He's got a bit of catching up to do, but then once he's there, he'll be pushing the midfielders.
Yeah, but he's not played up until this point in the season. That's a long time to be away from football. But I just feel that striker is the number one priority for us. It has to be. There's no strength in depth there at all. I agree with Sim. I don't see Omani staying. I'd be gobsmacked if Jacobs is still at the club at the moment. He seems to have dropped off the face of the earth after that Carlisle debacle. So look, I think he's starting to stamp his authority on the team, and he's starting to mould it in the way that he wants to. He's brought in some coaches, he's brought in a few players that he obviously likes the look of, which is good, and the club are backing him in that respect. So look, onwards and upwards. We're third in the form table over the last 6 games, would you believe? Wickham and Cardiff above us. Quite incredible, really, when you think about the season we've had. And next set of games, Peterborough at home, Bradford away, Luton at home, Plymouth away, Peterborough away again. It's weird we play them.
That is weird. I spotted that.
Really odd.
That's like playing a series in basketball.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then we've got Burton at home, Stockport at home, Mansfield away, Leyton Orient away, and Barnsley at home. So, there's a nice collection of teams there that we could and should potentially be beaten, which hopefully will see us move up the table. Hopefully in the top half. Imagine that. Imagine supporting a team in the top half of the table. Incredible.
It happened just how many months ago was May, whenever the last season ended? 7 now? It's December now, I suppose.
7 years. It's been 7 years.
It's been 7 years. If they can continue, you know what? If Reading score 3 goals again in December, then mark this space. Reading are back, baby. If that happens, they
even saying.
I'm just saying they score a 3rd goal. Mark Omani this space, for December. He'll be sent back in January.
He'll be gone. Listen, we're going to get into mailbag. There's no official preview because they're pointless, really. So yeah, we'll do something in the preview. I don't know what yet.
I feel like every single week we blow up the preview. Last week. Because Ryan was here and we said don't listen because he'll do it better anyway. So come with us and see how we find an excuse to blow up the preview. It'll be great.
We will. Anyway, look, we're going to take a short break and then we'll be back with your questions.
They are lucky.
Welcome back to episode 442 of the Tilehurst podcast with myself, Ross Webber, and him, Ben Thomas, and Sim, our editor. We talked about the result being a Christmas present, Sim being on this. I mean, I can't even believe it.
I didn't know you could get those in advent calendars, editors.
I know. A mythical beast has joined us on this podcast.
You're most welcome.
No one said thanks, but whatever.
I don't remember saying thank you.
Right, what we got? Who's saying what? Let me have a look. Okay.
My favorite thing about the mailbag is always that you never have it pulled up at the time when it's actually time to go. Like the first 2 minutes of the mailbag is always let's pull up the mailbag. Anyway,
it hypes it.
Yeah,
it kills a bit of time with me faffing around.
That's true.
And then it builds the anticipation in the listeners' ears.
Yeah.
Like, what questions are you going to ask? Richie Royal 85. I'm still sitting here wondering what's happened to Elliot. Have I missed something?
Do you want to take that one, Sim?
Yeah, it's another one with the injury situation, not knowing exactly what's going on, and I get Liam Richardson's desire to not give out too much information about this and to kind of keep his cards close to his chest and not kind of give any kind of advantage to the opposition and giving them any kind of heads up. but it is a little bit frustrating when you don't really know what's going on with him. You don't really know what's going on with other players. Is it a short-term thing? Is it a long-term thing? And it is going to lead to some kind of frustration, I guess, with fans not knowing what to expect. If he came out and said Elliott is a long-term absentee, then we can just go, right, put that to one side for a minute. But when you don't know, you start thinking, oh, is he going to go in January? Is he going to get sold? Is he going to get loaned out? Whatever. Really good player to have when he's really sharp and when he's kind of really on it. But yeah, hopefully he can come back and have a lot more confidence than he's had this season, really.
I can definitely understand the desire not to release too much injury information. Like the leagues over here in America are much more tight-lipped about it, but they will, like the NHL will tell you like he's out with lower body injury or something like that, but they won't give you much more than that. The only issue I have with just not releasing really any information about injury stuff is that if you provide a vacuum, people are going to fill it. And social media speculation is where that will get filled. Like that's where the things will start. And so occasionally it can lead to, rumors that may be true and may not be true. I think that can be harmful at times to the club. But I also kind of see what he's doing, like he's protecting his squad and trying to, I don't know, I guess he's trying to lower speculation in some ways, but I feel like the fact that Matty Jacob hasn't been anywhere near the squad since Carlisle with no update from the club basically creates a vacuum in which to speculate. So it isn't I kind of understand the decision. I might make the decision myself, but it comes with drawbacks. And I think that's one of the drawbacks.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
we don't know where Ben Elliott is, do we?
No, I mean, I wonder if we ever see him in a red and shirt again, because there'll be speculation in January. Particularly,
he had a significant injury concern last year, didn't he, as well? And I wonder if he's re-aggravated something, that's more niggling and slow burning rather than like a quick fix.
Yeah.
When it comes to him potentially going in January, I'm not sure where he would go, because if he'd really impressed and then got injured, you think, okay, another team might come in and try and get him, but he's not going to get bought by a club higher up the division, higher up the kind of pyramid. He's probably not going to get loaned out to like League Two or something. Maybe another team in League One takes a punt on him, but I then don't really see why he'd go and why he'd kind of want to trade in a pretty good prospect at Reading if he can kind of put some good performances together.
Yeah. He also doesn't have the games under his belt like Michael Craig had, whereby Craig not maybe as higher upside as Elliott, but like had proven that he could do it consistently in League One for quite a while.
Well, I mean, if he goes, he'll go to another team. So
that's true. Or maybe he won't. Maybe he gets into pottery. It could be that.
Maybe jacks it in. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the plot of the movie Ghost happens to him. So, it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. Right, where were we? Okay, so do you know what's really disappointing is that Tom Sheeran has not offered a question.
Oh,
he's broken the streak.
The streak is over. Okay, wow.
Dead. It's finished.
All right. Well, good to acknowledge. It was a
nice while it lasted.
Yeah, mighty streak there, Tom. But over now, in it? Pathetic. Come on,
it's not
plastic fans.
Mark, it feels like Liam has simplified the game for our players and they have a better understanding of what's required of them. I always felt Hunt was stuck between Ruben's style and what he wanted, but he didn't know what he didn't know.
That's so interesting. So I think the players have more instructions now, quite a few more instructions. And I think that's part of what's going on. I could be wrong, but I think that my issue with Hunt, and I think Kuig said this towards the end, was that there just wasn't any clear idea of how we were trying to play under Hunt. And there was the ability, basically it was 2 Lewis wing in deep area, chuck ball into channel chase. That was pretty much how the team played, and we talked about how they tried to start adding in some more crossing attacks towards the end of the Hunt thing, but there really wasn't a whole lot going on. Now they are moving between different shapes and different phases of play. Blackpool was the most static we've seen the formation, but even in that regard, roles were changing all over the field. Randall Williams was playing a different role in this game than he was in the game against Rotherham. So no, I definitely, I think that they're being coached better and they're being communicated to better and they know their roles better. But partly, I think they actually have roles. They actually have things to do. They're not just being told to go out there and interpret whatever it is, like it's Jose Mourinho 2007. Like football's moved on.
I mean, that leads really nicely into the marquee question of the pod, because of course we're 442, 442. SP37, can you discuss how the team has progressed tactically from Sellers to Hunt to Richardson?
On episode 442. What a lovely question.
I said that.
Yeah, you did. You did. Yeah, all right. So I'll try and make this as short as I can, and I'm going to keep an eye on the clock while I do this. Don't worry. But I think that if we wanted to, I mean, this is kind of the story of like how Reading have been since you and I took over the pod, Ben, I suppose. So obviously Ruben Sellers came in. We had finished the season under Noel Hunt after Paul Ince had led Reading to a good first 12 games, 15 games of that season, and then just a slow death as the points deductions came in. Sellers tried to move the team right away into that sort of 4-2-2-2, famously did not work. It was, I think, just asking too much of a lot of different players in different positions, especially when they had just come into the club. You know, you had Nibs really struggling at that point, I think, in the 4-2-2-2, who would obviously go on to be a really good, player for Reading. Sellers, I think there was the Shrewsbury defeat, and then he kind of changed things after that into a sort of 4-1-4-1. And I'm trying to remember, was Craig at the base of that, or was Wing at the base of that 4-1-4-1?
So he'd actually gone 4-1-4-1 a little bit earlier than that. So we had the Fleetwood game which was absolutely appalling. And then Pompey at home was the first game of the 4-1-4-1. It was originally, I think, Craig deep, and then Wing a little bit higher. And there was a little bit of a period when we played 4-1-4-1. We tried 4-2-3-1 as well, a little bit. And then it was only kind of at the end of that season that we have Wing in that deep lying solo role in the 4-1-4-1, which we stuck with for a while afterwards.
Yeah, I think it's kind of some variation of a pressing 4-3-3, whether that be a 4-1-4-1, occasionally bits of 4-2-3-1-y stuff, but not very frequently. I think we saw that more towards the end under Hunt. But really with Sellers, the thing that was unifying throughout was that the PPDA was down. So that's your passes per defensive action. And we talked about that recently, but Liam has got the team back below 9 right now, which is really top end of the league stuff. It just means that you're playing quite aggressively and you're trying to get into the face of the opposition. You're trying to win the ball high. Reading's team under Sellers loved an opposition throw-in in their half. They would use that basically as their own set piece, and Nibs and Smith together especially were very, very good at harassing and setting up for where the ball was going to be after the ball came loose to then create chances from that. So that was something we saw a lot under Sellers. Under Hunt, I think that he kind of tried to keep the 4-3-3 moving and didn't try to change too much during the last season, while maybe allowing us to go through the fullbacks a little bit more than we had been doing. I think that was partially because Garcia was having somewhat of a breakout season. But I think at that time we saw Wing get deeper and deeper and deeper on the field, going back to try and be creative. And I think that caused some knock-on issues, as the time under Hunt went on. Obviously, towards the end, the real issue with him is that once we got to that final third, we just couldn't find a way to actually break into the box. And I think that was partially down to where Wing and other players were positioned during build-up. I think we started to see at times early this season, Wing go back towards that sort of like right-back position that he would occasionally do under Sellers in the first season. That appears to have ended now that Liam has come into the team. And as we talked about in the last few weeks, I think flexibility is really the name of the game with Liam, and being able to move into different shapes in different phases of play. You'll see it lined up on FOTMob or whatever as a 4-2-3-1, and that is what it looks like in many phases of play. But if Reading are playing a game where they're trying to do controlled possession now, you'll see some quite high-end stuff for holding on to possession, like a 3-box-3, which is sort of like a 3-2-2-3, 3-2-5. The kind of formation that you've seen Man City and Chelsea and all these teams doing for the last few years, basically. So, yeah, I think that's kind of where it's gone in the last few years. It's gone from pressing into, what would you call it, under Hunt, sort of trying to be steady and losing a little bit of that impetus further up the pitch. And then under Liam, kind of taking what we have and making it a bit more flexible. Was that short? That didn't feel short.
I mean, you summed it up pretty well, I think.
All right, that's good.
The final question on tactics, I would say, is what, with this team now, with the way that Liam is, because it's still early days, right? Still really, really early days in his tenure. What areas would both of you be looking for improvements on with this team right now?
I think, sorry, Sim, do you want me to go or do you want to go?
I would just say just general kind of consistency in attacking phases, because you go back to the Blackpool game, and although it was encouraging, there were long spells when we didn't really get going, like the first half an hour or so, and then it was about maybe 20 minutes or so in the second half, and just really kind of being able to build up that consistency and getting it from more players. So getting more quality out wide as well. We talk a lot about the striker, but also not just having to rely on Dan Kay every week. If you can get a bit more variety in there, then that will really help as well. So
I think the space in between the winger and the fullback is a bit of an issue for Reading, and that's partially an issue under Liam, but it has been an issue before. But it's partially an issue under Liam because we end up in this 4-4-2, 4-2-4-y sort of hybrid press thing a bit, and then even when we played the more 4-2-3-1 man for man press, against Blackpool, we still ended up with that front four pretty far forward, and that leaves a big space in, between the winger and the fullback, and especially when we're sending one of those fullbacks up like a Brafer, and we're having like a winger come into the half space and then go back out to the wide space defensively. We're asking quite a bit, and at times that can create some communication issues. So I actually saw Savage giving Kyerewaa instructions in this game as well, by the way, because there are definitely, I think Dorset has had some communication struggles down that side as well. I noted down they created quite a lot in the first 15 minutes. It was through getting into those spaces in between the lines out wide. Dorset made 2 mistakes in the first 20 minutes that led to shots. So we can definitely be got at in that area, and that's something that I'd be looking for Liam to sort of fix moving forward.
I thought you were going to jump in there, Sim, but you obviously couldn't be bothered. So
he already jumped in. He jumped all over it.
Whatever. Oh, I've lost the mailbag. Hold on. It's all kicked off.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Whatever. What was his first name? SP37, though. That was fun. It's always good to go through the tactics.
Chris says, odd game. Thought we weren't very good, but won comfortably. The league is just so bad, yet we're still so low in the league. Still waiting to see what Liam is going to implement on this team, and still getting real Hunt ball vibes. I mean, the league is it is really poor. I don't. Are we doing teams disservice by saying that? I
don't know if the league's like. If you notice, the Premier League's also really tight this year. Like there's quite a few leagues if you look at them that are quite I don't know, just like chunked up this year. Is there just like a lot of uniformity in football right now?
I mean, from 20th at the moment, that's Exeter on 17 points, to 7th, Luton, that's 27. 10 points separating 13 teams.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite tight.
It is tight, but I don't know. I think like it's same thing in the Championship, other than Coventry. You've got a lot of teams. It's 7 points between 2nd and 11th, so it's weird. Like there's quite a lot. I don't know. I don't know if it's a coaching thing or a general like athleticism, nutrition, like all that performance kind of thing. But I do think that a lot of teams are able to achieve a similar-ish level of performance these days without necessarily like a high level of resources.
I mean, I'm just looking at similar situation in League Two.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've not seen any teams I've gone, wow, they're really good. And
Yeah,
normally by this point, 17 games in, I've gone, they're a really good side. And,
I
and
think
maybe that's just the way that fixtures have fallen. But even the games I've watched, that haven't involved us, there's not a team I've gone, they're incredible.
I think
Or,
that partially comes from Reading's squad being quite good, though, in that
yeah,
Reading can
potentially.
shut other teams down relatively well. I mean, I think Porty O'Connor has been great since he came in. Really just gets through his work and
Mm.
seems miserable to play against, utterly miserable. Like Jordan Hugill, who's a big man, was giving him trouble in the first 15 minutes of the game last week against Rotherham. And Porty at one point, completely off the ball, went through the back of him, gave him a dead leg, like stuck his knee into the back of his thigh.
Yeah.
Guy didn't go back over near Porty for the rest of the game. Like guys come over to him and try and put the business on him in the way that they would do with Bindon, and he puts the business back on him, and it's quite funny to watch. Like I do quite like it. But Reading aren't easy to beat. I think Reading do make other teams look worse than they are as well. Like even when Hunt was in the team, or was the coach, and we were struggling to build going forward, I think that we were still not too bad at the back. We were still relatively stable. He just wasn't able to fix this issue between the full. For him, it was more sort of like in the seam in between the fullback and the centre back. He couldn't fix. I don't think this is Hunt ball personally, but I think that where this may have come from is the kind of thing I mentioned earlier, whereby we went long 25% of the time in this game, which was a lot by Reading standards. They attempted fewer than 4 passes per possession against Blackpool. So they were like, Reading were like, eat that thing down the field and go in this game, which was quite funny to see.
Yeah, but it's good to have that kind of variety in our play. And if you do have a manager who's happy to say, let's do something a little bit different and let's kind of be a bit more pragmatic, that's exactly what we've needed in games like this. Because you go back to, say, Blackpool away last year when we basically got bullied.
Yeah.
And that was the end of a long kind of unbeaten run. That was not a bad Reading team at that point in time, one that was kind of very difficult to beat. But then all of a sudden we go up to Blackpool, we get bullied, and we are very easy to beat. But when you got people like Porty O'Connor and Des Williams at the back, it's okay to just kind of soak up pressure and be a bit more pragmatic. And it's nice to have a manager happy to do that. And we're not kind of too wedded to just doing our style. We are kind of more pragmatic. And just going back to what Chris said about the performance, I agree it wasn't particularly brilliant, but it was very efficient. And we knew what we needed to do to win this game in the way that we needed to win it. It wasn't about having a lot of possession, because it was, 40% possession, I think you said earlier?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot more about kind of riding the periods of pressure that we had to deal with. And when we had some good moments going forwards, we capitalized on them.
Yeah.
And when we did have a good moment, we had the confidence and we had the ruthlessness and the ambition to say, we scored 1 goal, let's go and get a second. We scored 2, let's now go and get a third. And then if things turned against us, managing the game, being patient, trying to slow the game down as well. And you saw players being slow with taking throw-ins and things like that. Exactly what you want in a game like this. Those little moments that you forget after a game, but in the match itself, help you so much, just to kind of give you that professionalism, give you that efficiency, and the ruthlessness that we see in other teams doing against us when we struggle at home. It's lovely to see us doing it and winning comfortably and playing well, even if we're not brilliant.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. I did think when I was watching Bloomfield Road, or whatever it's called now, I did think to myself, like, yeah, we've been there many times when the boos were starting to ring in the towards the final whistle.
Well, I mean, Andy Taylor, beer watch for me.
Okay.
Goes on to say, made a nice change to see an attacking performance rather than relying on a savage wing screamer to get us out of trouble. It's basically what you just said, isn't it, really? But was far from an excellent display. Can we keep it up, and do we need someone else with Marriott injured a lot? Yeah, I mean, we said earlier, I think striker is something.
This squad with Sam Smith in it would probably be doing quite nicely right now. I think Sam Smith would be. I mean, like Jack Marriott is pretty good fit for this team, obviously when he was here. But has Jack Marriott hasn't been able to play since Limo's come in, has he? So no, yeah. Sam Smith has started one game all year, so I mean, I'm sure he'd prefer to be in Reading as well.
Would you take him back if he was available?
Would I take 2024 December Sam Smith back? Yeah, I would. After he sat on the bench for a year. No, I'm being facetious. Obviously, he started and scored a lot for them in the back half of the League One season, but he's not doing anything. He's sitting on the bench, not scoring for Wrexham. He'd be doing better with us for sure.
You take him back, Sim?
Yeah, I'd absolutely snap your hand off for him. He's exactly the kind of all-round. but look, he's the exact kind of all-round striker that any team needs. And even if he doesn't score a lot of goals, even if he isn't his absolute best, he does have that kind of ability to bring others into the game, to press well, and to be a nuisance and to be a bit of a bastard in the final third that this team needs. And just gives you that extra, gives you that extra element.
Not only have you incited violence against one of the co-hosts, you've also just sworn.
I know. It's the excitement of being able to potentially talk about a good striker coming back to Reading, even if it's very probably not going to happen.
We've already brought Rhino back. Dream big. We're bringing Mate back.
We're bringing Sexy back. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel compelled to comment on Ben's cat being on camera as he has been for a few minutes of this.
Well, yes, we've tried not to mention it, but it's now needs mentioning. You can watch the podcast on YouTube. I know we say this a lot. We're trying to get up and over 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year.
What are we on now?
950, maybe 940 something. So since I started this call, we've please come and talk to us on YouTube. I think we've had like 50 odd people come on over. So come on over. It's fun over there. You get to look at our faces and a cat.
And the cat. Yeah. The big man. We're not going to do an official preview, but we are going to talk a little bit about what we've got on our website at the moment in terms of articles and pieces up for you, and what we might have in the pipeline moving forward over the next 8 to 9 days. So join us in a preview of sorts after this short and final break of episode 442. Right, welcome back to the final part of episode 442 with myself, Ross, and of course Sim. Sim, talk to us a little bit. Let's do some shameless plugging here. What we've got on the website at the moment that people can nibble on, and then what we've got sort of coming up, articles potentially over the next few days or so.
Oh, well, we have got a fantastic match report right at the top of the website at the minute from Pete Matthews. He did an excellent write-up of Reading's 4-1 win at Penn and Tyler's Green. Reading women's
big win,
I should say, massive win. Really good kind of comeback result after losing 3-1 at Winchester City Flyers last time out.
I was going to say, they're having an up and down season, aren't they?
Yeah,
smash one team, get smashed, smash another team.
Yeah, and we talk about the odd fixture list in for the Reading men's team, but Reading women are having to go ages without a game very often this season, and it really kind of hurts you kind of wanting to build some momentum. And this is the kind of season when we are wanting to challenge at the top end of the table and to get promotion, but when Reading women are so denied regular match action, it's hard to kind of really build up that proper momentum as you want. So give that a go, give that match report a go. Very good.
He's done well though, hasn't he, Ed? You know, to come into a team that I say bereft, you know, that's not quite right. They did really well given the appalling start off the pitch that they had at the start of last season. You know, obviously Bruno came in and did the best he could with little to no players, and he's brought a lot of experience to that women's setup now, Ed. And you know, it's awful really, because I've seen some articles recently where they've used images from yesteryear, and you look at some of the players we did have, you know, available, but some of those internationals, incredible really how kind of low they've slipped. But Ed and his team really seem to have kind of galvanized the team. or the squad rather, and there's some good players in that team. You know, like I've seen some highlights and obviously read pretty much everything that Pete's given us this year. And you just hope that they can continue to move forward with it, because it's a big part of the club. You know, there is interest in it. It's difficult playing in Slough in terms of the home games, but I think,
Well,
as I've
so
always said,
they're
any
what
success.
there's no Reading men's game this weekend. So you know, maybe get to the Wickham game this weekend. It's the league leading Wickham Wanderers on the ladies' side. Sunday, December 7th, 1:30 kickoff. Thank you, Peter. So yeah, I worth checking out, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay, so there's that coverage on the site. What else we got, Sim?
We have a fantastic match report from a budding writer called Bucks Royal, whoever he is. Good things come to those who wait.
You did everything this weekend, though, didn't you? Because Ross couldn't be bothered to put his finger out.
Yeah, some of us have to do the match report and the player ratings on the train back on their phone.
When was the last time you did it, Ben?
Yeah.
Well, not one person has asked where the column's gone, so I think that tells you the lack of love. I just needed a break, to be honest with you. It's been going for what, 6 years now. I needed a bit of
tough life, isn't it? Having to do one article every other week.
Right. Yeah. So we started talking for a living, and we thought, because we're aging on the internet now, and everyone can go and look at our faces and see how much prettier we were however many months ago. You will leave all the writing to you. And Ben's put his column into the grave that I buried midweek musings in.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's fine.
I will bring it back. It's having the motivation to do it. You know, like we talked about this recently. Like it has been challenging to keep the content going at times. Like it's, you know, we've said it on the pod as well. Sometimes when we, you know, really sort of struggling for, I say positives, that's not quite right, but you know, just kind of keeping it going and really trying to be enthusiastic and not be negative. You know, we've been kind of accused of that quite recently. And I mean, some guy blamed me for Noel Hunt getting the sack. I was like, definitely.
Well, you made the call, though, to be fair. It was you and our buddy Rick Catania, you know, calling it to make sure.
Just ring him up, get rid of him.
Stitch him up, get the Irishman.
It's good to get traction on these things, but at the same time, you know, you have to be really clear on why we're putting the content out, and it's for you guys to read and enjoy and you know, get something out of it, hopefully. And Sim's got the hardest job. Like, he's up and down the country. He's tapping into Wi-Fi, you know, here, there, and everywhere to get reports out on time. Like it's not easy. It's not easy at times, but hopefully, you know, we'll kick on really.
It does just get very kind of samey, and I don't want to kind of complain too much, but I mean, there's so many times you can write about a 1-1 draw when you've had about 5.
Exactly right.
And look, we've had far worse spells in the club's history to cover the club, like even early this year when it looked like, the club going to be able to pay a bill on time and stuff like that. Let's not forget that kind of too quickly. So I don't want to kind of complain too much, but at the same time, you do kind of need some kind of enjoyment. You need something to keep you going. And that's why I love games like Saturday so much. Such a kind of fun afternoon at Blackpool, and hopefully more of that to come to kind of make things easier for us. As for other content coming up, I would be remiss not to mention the Royal Quantum Leap that Jacob Southkline is doing at the minute. It's absolutely wonderfully bizarre, crazy column that has to be read to be believed.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful kind of alternate reality.
Is it John McIntosh? Sorry, Sim, who's the football manager content creator? I don't know. He was maybe with with Tifo or the Athletic at one point, where they had football managers. John McKenzie that is the bold lad, but Ian McIntosh, that's his name, and he plays Football Manager online. It's okay. If you like Football Manager content, then the Royal Quantum Leap is definitely for you.
It's not just Football Manager, it's also kind of a bit of an odd Gozi Ugwu inspired fever dream through Reading's 2013-14 history. I can't sum it up on a podcast. How
many are there?
There's two at the minute. Some wonderful long stories for you to get your teeth into.
Yeah, yeah.
And as always, listen, if you've got an idea, you want to write something, for God's sake, don't ask me. Just go straight to Sim, because I literally don't deal with that stuff. So just go straight to Sim.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
if you
email.
can be bothered to do more than one of them, unlike Ben, who kind of does one column every 6 months, and then he's like, oh, I can't be bothered to do it, then
Yeah, well,
drop into
yeah,
our
this is it.
emails and get in touch.
Yeah, and it probably best to go tilehurstend@gmail.com. The tilehurstend, sorry, at gmail.com.
Yes.
But yeah, well, look, it's particularly in the gap we've got now. We're always looking for stuff to put out, and it's good. There's a dedicated group of writers, not me.
Bobbins is
Not
back.
Ross at the moment.
We haven't had
Bobbins is back.
Bobbins for a while,
Bobbins is
but
back.
Bobbins is back. I like the
Yeah.
fans' verdict stuff too, because I can't go on X, the everything app, anymore. So yeah, and I like that Harry puts that stuff up there, so I can actually look at some of the things coming off that Hellfire platform.
Fans verdict is perfect for people who want to get the best of social media, i.e., all the opinions, but without the horrible experience of actually having to be on social media yourself.
Yeah,
It's
true.
perfect. A little bit of a break at the minute for fans verdict, but when that's back regularly, then Ross will have plenty more articles to enjoy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
always one of
exactly
my
right.
favorites. That's always one of my favorites.
That just about draws to a close on episode 442 of the Tilehurst podcast. I've been Ben Thomas. He's been Ross Webber. And that chap has been Sim. Have
Thank
you
you very
enjoyed it,
much.
Sim? Were you glad that you came on this Monday evening?
I am absolutely delighted by any opportunity to have a go at you on an audio recording, Ben. Enjoyed every moment.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I provided something anyway. If it's not just a verbal punch bag, how about
It's good
that?
to have backup for that, so that I don't have to sit here and justify the existence of Daniel Kyerewaa to this buffoon.
Look, we're on that train now.
Yeah,
It's happening. It's
we're on the
happening.
Daniel Kyerewaa party train, and
Exactly
I'm
right.
very happy to be here.
Yeah. I don't know when we'll be back next week, but it might be worth just waiting until after the Peterborough game, right?
Yeah, schedule's weird, so we might be weird next week. But when aren't we?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try and put something out, but I probably won't. I should stop saying that on the podcast. It's a really bad idea.
There's not a lot of pointers coming back on Monday without having had a game played,
Yeah, well,
unless we get a guest on from the club potentially.
maybe,
But
yeah.
if not, it'll be after the Peterborough game, because obviously we're hopeful that we're gonna be talking about back-to-back wins.
Another victory.
So we'll see what happens. A free weekend, as we are not in the FA Cup. So
There you go.
enjoy yourselves. Have a good one. Enjoy the start of Advent or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's December. It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy.
It's how months work, mate. It's just every year
comes
they
out of
keep
nowhere.
coming around. You think you're done, and then there's a 12th one.
Just keeps coming back. Just keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm waffling. Have a really good week, everybody. Thank you for joining us on episode 442 of the Tilehurst End podcast. We will see you soon. Come on, you Arts.
Was he asking you for his dinner? Like, why has he been standing there for 20 minutes?
He's staring at
Literally.
the mic.
This is going on YouTube, don't worry. Maybe not on the audio, but
Just like, yeah, it's just funny.
he's having a good time. What's his name again?
Samson.
Samson. Ah, okay. Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Royals fans. See ya.